everybody, welcome to Toyah at Home, or more popularly known by me as Toyah Day. I'm at the bottom of my garden, which is the River Avon. We've been joined all week by an extraordinary flock of geese who are very, very vocal, who are on their way south, but they've been here for about 7 days now. And we find that every evening when we come down here to just sit quietly, sip a glass of Prosecco, they take flight, but they're always back by the morning. They've just been so lovely to have around, and just to know the amount of travel they're about to do. I hope all of you are okay, that you've settled into the new COVID rules this week, that your children have been safe at school, and that you've been back at the office whether you choose to or not, whether you stay at home. We're choosing to stay at home, so we've just set up a studio in the house, film studio, recording studio, so that we can just lessen our amount of travel. But we're getting used to it, but I still want to get out there gigging as soon as I can. So this week is quite a major week. We've got a big announcement coming after the first song, which I will give you in a minute. Very, very exciting news. So we're going to go back to Trading Boundaries and this phenomenal performance that we did there 2 years ago. And we're so grateful to Trading Boundaries as a venue because they allowed us to use their filming facilities. Robert Cooper edited this film and we're hugely grateful to him too. So the announcement is closely linked to the first song today, which is an acoustic version of Neon Womb at Trading Boundaries with Colin Hines. Enjoy. Lots of love, Toyah.
In the neon womb of verbal mime, I'm so out of touch with life and time. In the catacombs where nothing rides, nothing exists except that which is mine. Standing all alone in the neon womb reminds me of my mother's lonely tomb. The air in the city is as cold as fire, and this mother city calls me a liar. I'm insane. My body is a neon worm. I'm a neon worm. Neon worm. My heart's so warm, my mind's so warm, my body, it's a tune. My heart's so warm, my mind's so warm, my body, it's a tune. I'm a neon woo. Neon's here, neon's there and everywhere. Standing all alone in the neon world reminds me of my mother's lonely tomb. Air in the city is as cold as fire, and this mother city calls me liar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo-hoo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo-hoo. Thank you.
That was Neon Womb trading boundaries with the late brilliant Colin Hines. So I said before the song there was a big announcement to be made. Wow, this is such a goodie. Sheep Farming in Barnet is going to be reissued on the 4th of December by Cherry Red Records. And on the 5th of December, Toyah at Home broadcast will be a Sheep Farming in Barnet special with the Toyah band, plus archive footage as well. So this kickstarts a reissue programme that will look at each album separately on the Safari catalogue, each one released as a deluxe version. So Sheep Farming in Barnet will be released in a limited edition in white vinyl. Yes, white vinyl LP, just like the golf balls. And an expanded 2 CD and DVD package will be released as well. Woo-hoo-hoo. The album has been remastered from the original master tapes, and the 2 CD and DVD package includes 30 bonus tracks on the 2 CD DVD edition, and 30 bonus tracks. That's incredible. The bonus tracks include the improvised vocal that became Victims of the Riddle, so that's the very embryonic beginning of the song, plus demos before the band lineup had settled that we actually thought were lost, and they were found in the archives. This is great news. It includes 4 never before released versions recorded for Shoestring with Charlie Francis on bass, and one of these is Waiting, and it can be heard on the website now as a sample. Yay! That's Toyah Willcox official. It was compiled by Craig Astley over 5 years of research, let me tell you. It was a heavy 5 years, with input from me and Joel Bogan on the lineup and the recording sessions. It took so much work from Craig Astley. Craig, thank you so much for this. It includes a DVD with 2 brand new interviews with me behind the scenes, the full story of the album plus track by track reviews, 3 new acoustic versions of Computer's Neon Womb, Bird in Flight, which I've done with my neighbour Nigel Clark, who is the leader of the band Dodgy. And they're lovely, lovely versions. We shot them here a couple of weeks ago. The DVD also has archive clips on it, including 2 songs from the Old Grey Whistle Test. Remember it well, because we were on with the legendary Jerry Lee Lewis. Oh-ho! The full track list is now live on toyahwillcox.com. Don't forget the 2 L's in Willcox, with a link to the order from Cherry Red Records. So that's live now. This is a limited edition postcard of 2 designs, one that comes with the LP, one with the CD, both never before seen shots taken at RAD Fylingdales, Yorkshire. I've read this for the first time. So they are from the session where we shot the album cover for Sheep Farming in Barnet, where we had to actually go there to Fylingdales to get the shot. More on that in a minute. If you order quick, there are signed postcards while stocks last. So that means limited edition postcards of 2 designs in the LP and the CD, but limited edition. I got through that. Now, your questions. So as we're talking about sheep farming in Barnet and that point in history in my life, we have questions that relate specifically to around 1979. Now, John, DNS on Instagram, you ask, do I remember anything about the ICA play American Days, written by Stephen Polyakov? Well, I do have memories, and one of those memories, and I don't know if I'm incorrect here, but I actually think the assistant director on that might have been Danny Boyle, the incredibly famous film director. He was either the assistant director on American Days, or he might have been on the Nigel Williams play, Sugar and Spice at the Royal Court. So I've been online today to look at all of this, and I can't find any information in that much detail. On Stephen Polyakov's Wikipedia site, it doesn't really mention anything in depth other than the cast and the progression of Stephen Polyakov's career. So what I remember about the ICA play American Days, it was an incredible privilege to be working with Stephen Polyakov. I mean, you just don't turn anything by that man down. In the cast, the lead was Sir Anthony Sher, Mel Smith was in the cast, Phil Daniels, and Phil and I had just finished filming Quadrophenia, so we had a huge mod following come to see this play. So what do I remember about American Days? I had to learn to sing Yesterday by the Beatles or Paul McCartney as an audition piece within the play, because it was all about an American A&R man at a record label who was particularly cruel. And what is brilliant about this story, American Days, written probably in 78 and performed in 79, is it's pre-Simon Cowell. So here we are, 3 wannabes wanting to be signed up to one recording contract and having to prove ourselves to this amazing, powerful A&R man. And we're subjected to psychological cruelty. So I've got to be careful what I say here, because I'm not insinuating that Simon Cowell at all, who I have met, who is the most charming human being in the world and only plays Mr. Bad Guy when he has to. He's absolutely gorgeous. But what is interesting about the story of American Days is it actually predates the whole of the X Factor experience. And this is really kind of what it's about, except without the audience, without being on TV. So I remember that it was a very demanding play, very wordy play. It was a play about proving ourselves as performers in the characters that we were playing. I was becoming a huge kind of national and almost international cult figure by this time. So again, fans were gathering outside every evening, and there was a lot that took my energy, in that I was not only just performing in the play, but I also had to permanently be ready and available to fans who just wanted to meet me, who would wait outside venues. And it was a wonderful time, an extraordinary time. Quite tiring, because this was just pre-writing which album would it have been? I know we were going into doing Toyah, the documentary. That was about to happen. We had a lot of touring going on. This would be, I would have thought, after the release of Blue Meaning, but I just remember I had 2 full-on careers, the actress and being the singer and songwriter in a band. So my memories are happy. I had a lot of youthful energy. I was living at the time in a warehouse called Mayhem, which brings me right up to Clive Coward's question, which is, it's well known that you had a warehouse called Mayhem in Battersea. What was the idea behind it? Well, it was communal living, and it was very cold. It had no heating. It only had one window, which was boarded up, but we decided to kind of uncover it because we needed some natural light. It very quickly became obvious that London needed a space of this size where bands could come and work. So Hazel O'Connor worked there. She formulated the music for the film Breaking Glass there. Apparently Adam and the Ants, Rima worked there. Now I say apparently because I was off doing my own thing during some of this time, but I do remember, if I don't remember Adam and the Ants working there, I remember Steve Strange taking over many weekends to work there. But I think one of the most exciting events for all of us was Iggy Pop moving in to rehearse the tour for Passenger, that album. Forgive me for not remembering the name of the album. So he moved in to rehearse all of that, and John Cale was there to work with him. I think they were rehearsing for the album as well as the tour, so we had the privilege, because we lived on site, we had this huge rehearsal space about the size of what you're seeing to the river now, and then we had living space which we made, which was very ramshackle, but it was still a great place to live. And Iggy Pop moved in, and we weren't sure if it was going to be Iggy or just the band moving in, but it was. Iggy arrived every day with John Cale, and that was a phenomenal time for us because we got to socialise with Iggy. He invited us to where he was living at the time in Kensington to eat meals with him. We got to see the shows. He was a very generous man, and of course there's the music. What I really remember about the time Iggy was rehearsing there was this incredible volume. It was so loud, it was deafening, and people couldn't find where the warehouse was. We were in a railway siding beside Battersea railway station, so it meant for a while we got away with this incredible volume until they found the address, and then we had to soundproof the whole area. But another event that I remember is one morning there was a knock on the door, and three of us were living there. There was Eve, who was Adamant's wife, there was Keith, who managed the place for all of us, and there was a music journalist called John. And we get a knock on the door, and it's Special Branch Police, and they say, "We're on your roof, can we come in?" So we looked out, and there was all these police, and apparently next to us a neighbour was a mercenary who had got hold of some nuclear warheads, something like that. I mean, something really incredibly dangerous, and we knew who they meant. This neighbour was a friendly neighbour who often came in and just socialised with us and stayed around and listened to the bands rehearse. He was a really great guy, and he turned out to be a mercenary who was selling warheads. So we allowed the police in, and they got the guy, they got all the dangerous stuff out of his warehouse, and then it all went to court and it was sorted out. But it was that kind of extraordinary address where absolutely out of this world things happened. We loved every moment of it, but eventually I started to desire to have a real bathroom. There was only one loo and a sink in there. There was nowhere we could go and wash. We were washing in buckets for well over a year, so I started to crave having my own home. But I'm grateful for Mayhem for introducing me to really great people. Now, talking about Mayhem, on the DVD of Sheep Farming in Barnet, there is a very rare interview with the wonderful actress Margie Clark, who at this time had her own show in Manchester, and she came down to London to interview me for the show. So that interview is included on the DVD extras for Sheep Farming in Barnet. So you might be wondering, why am I sitting in the garden today? Well, it's because Dean Verdin has asked this. As an artistic person, have you ever fancied venturing into art? Painting, sculpturing, or anything like Yoko Ono's conceptual art? Well, Dean, thank you for this question, because I do art as a form of therapy to focus myself, and people like my art, people do buy it, people who see it go, "Oh, can I have that?" And I always end up doing art as presents for birthdays and for Christmas. So I wouldn't say I'm an artist, but I am a really good ideas person. So the reason I'm in the garden is the other day I was sitting here and I was thinking I'm not looking forward to the very short days and the very long nights. So I had this idea of turning the garden into a night garden. So all of this is going to be illuminated by what are kind of standard garden lights. So I'm just showing you around, sorry about the sun, but the idea is that not only I can use it, but also people who really dislike the dark can come here and sit and meditate in the early evening. It's not come to fruition yet. We started the ball rolling, and we do tend to invite people to come and sit in the garden when they just need to get out their house. We have a lot of people in this area who are stuck in lockdown because of their age. So I'm looking to illuminate the garden in a really kind of charming and kind of grotto-ish way, and I want in the center of the lawn I've just shown you a structure of an angel, so that people walk into here in darkness, the lights go on, and there's this angel in the middle of the lawn, and that they can sit at a table drinking hot chocolate in the dark and just gather their thoughts. And that's a kind of conceptual idea that came to me recently. I have many more conceptual ideas with putting sculptures on the roof of our house, but that might not happen, but I'm a bit ambitious in that way. Robert Wardell, you ask, do you have a storyline idea for any videos that weren't made of certain songs? Well, one of the things that we looked into in the 80s, Robert, was to go up in an aeroplane and film at 0 gravity. So we were looking at doing this about 1982. And we couldn't at that time be up there long enough to shoot what would be a 3 to 4 minute video. So everyone put me off actually taking that idea further. So that was probably going to be used for something like Be Proud, Be Loud, Be Heard. But for IER, I not only wanted 0 gravity, I wanted to be in a flight simulator as well, and to be able to fly off planet and into the stars. Well, at that time, none of that had been invented, so we would have had to completely invent that graphically and shoot it on green screen and have that all added. Far too expensive back in the 80s to do that. Today, all this computer software exists. So that was one idea for IER. And for Hurricane, well, we literally wanted Simon Darlow and I to go storm chasing. And again, we couldn't guarantee that we would find that. I've just trodden in a hole. We couldn't find or guarantee that we would find that storm. So that was the idea for Hurricane. We wanted both of us to be driving at breakneck speed in a car. I'm now gone into a building, just if you wonder why the sound has changed. In a car. And chasing a storm for real. And who knows, that might happen. We might get the chance to do it because everyone is so interested still in the Crimson Queen that we might get the choice and the chance to shoot that. And I think it would just be amazing to do it with a group of really, really experienced storm chasers. Let's see. Sean Polly, you ask, God forbid if you have a house fire or a flood. Oh yeah, a flood is possible because I'm in the section, this section of the garden goes underwater. And the last time this was underwater, I stood here and the water was up to there. So, I mean, it floods. So this is now our vinery, and it kind of can't hear the geese here or the lawnmowers. Not quite. Anyway, so Sean, you say, if there was a house fire or a flood and you only had time to rescue 2 items, Robert's already got out, what 2 items would you save? This is such a big question, Sean. Do you know what? I can't continue with the work that I do, either as an artist or as a singer, as a songwriter, without my phone and without my computer. So this is going to be quite a boring answer. I would save my phone and my computer. And then on top of that, they would have to fight me from coming back into the house to get all my stage costumes, which are on the top floor, because I really value those stage costumes. They're made by Melissa Kaplan, they're handmade, they're really beautiful, and they're not replaceable. So Sean, that's what I would do. Thank you for that question. Joseph Bruno Taneo, you say, since you and Madonna are contemporaries, have you met? No, we haven't met. Or do you have memory of seeing her? Yes. I saw her when she played Wembley. I think it was the last time she played Wembley. It would have been around the album Time of Music, I believe, or perhaps I'm talking about in the 2000s. But I remember the show opened with galloping horses on the screens, and Madonna came down in this huge glitter ball down to the centre of the audience. It was a phenomenal show, and I was sitting 3 seats away from David Williams, who's a great friend of Madonna. So Madonna was coming right up to us because we were on the first tier at the side of the stage, and she could walk up the set and get to within touching distance of David Williams. So here I am 3 seats away, and she was doing that quite regularly and kind of twerking to him, and he was blowing kisses. You know, there was obviously big love in the room. But no, I've not met her. And you also asked, Joseph, although your styles are different, yes, is there a Madonna you like, or would, I think you mean Madonna song you would cover? I think Ray of Light is a stunning album, absolutely stunning. And if I covered anything, it would be a song off Ray of Light. It's a work of genius, and I've never thought of covering a Madonna song because, as you say, stylistically we are completely different. I always view Madonna as someone who has a lot of air, and I view myself as an earth creature if we're to look at the 4 elements. So I'm not sure that a Madonna song would suit the kind of bulk and weight and muscle of who I am. In answer to that, probably not, but I do love Ray of Light. Lance Timberlake, you ask a fantastic question here. Do you like Tori Amos? Yes, big time. I absolutely adore her. I thought I'd ask because I play her music a lot alongside Toyah music. Well, I really discovered Tori around the time of Cornflake Girl, which I believe was 1994. Under the Pink was the album. I just think she's mind-blowingly brilliant and original. And also what I love about her is critically she's had an equally hard time as I've had. And I think unless you come under constant fire critically, the way we have, you can't always share what it means and how it affects you in your life. It's made me a real fighter. I protect myself. I have a bubble around me that's impenetrable, and I will remain creative no matter what anyone says of me, because I know I cannot rely on kindness. I think one of the reasons I just love Tori so much is that she's answered her critics, and she has fought her critics, and it's just, her work is just beautiful, and she's a wonderful musician. I think Hanging In with the Raisin Girls is one of my favourite lyric lines of all time. So thank you, Lance. Yes, I am a big Tori Amos fan. Tracy Barnett, you have commented that you really like the decor in our house, and who does it? Well, we discovered this house from the River Avon 19 years ago when my father brought us down on his boat to show us the for sale sign. And Robert and I came to look round the house just to be nosy. And as soon as we stepped into the house, I burst into tears because I knew it was our home. But we just moved into an 11-bedroom manor 4 hours away in Dorset. And I said to Robert, as we looked round the house, we can never talk about this house again, or I'm going to have a broken heart for the rest of my life. So we came away, I cried all day. And a few weeks later, Robert had to go back to Nashville in the USA to work. And on the day of 9/11, I called Robert because on the TV, this came up on the TV, what was happening in New York. And I said, Robert, I think war's broken out. You're not going to get home. And Robert said, oh my goodness, I just bought Bridge House, which is this address. And I said, well, how the hell did you do that? And he said, I took 100% loan. We moved in 3 months later, and we feel our lives began here. It's just the most beautiful house, and we have not altered any of the decoration. We've left it exactly the same. So as you can guess, it's an historical house. The cellar, which you've not seen yet, dates back to the 1500s, and it's been added on every 100 years. So it's a really beautiful place. But you asked, do I collect anything? Well, I do collect very rare crystals for energetic purposes, but also I collect ginseng plants. So can you see that? That's a beautiful ginseng. I mean, you look at the gorgeous roots. Now, these need looking after daily. I'm absolutely religious about it. So here's my best ginseng. I mean, look at that beauty. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? And there's the ginseng root. So any of you that take supplements, that is the ginseng root. This is my peach tree that gave us well over 100 peaches this year. This, I cultivate jades. So this is what I call one of the original jades. I've had it for 40 years. So every Christmas we take cuttings off it and we give the cuttings as gifts to our friends, because the Chinese and I believe the Japanese, a lot of Asian countries, believe that jades allow the ancestors, your ancestors, to protect you and keep you healthy, wealthy, happy and flourishing. So these are all ready to be Christmas gifts. So you might wonder if I'm green-fingered. I don't believe I'm green-fingered, but I do have a certain passion about plants, and I take plants very seriously. You don't plant something and not water it. That's a little dig at Robert. So thank you very much for that question, Tracy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Giles Mikola, you ask, what was the first record I ever bought? Well, Giles, that is easy. I had 2 and 6 saved up, 12 shillings and sixpence saved up from my pocket money, about 1972. And I bought myself a single. It was T-Rex, it was Ride a White Swan. I bought it in what was to become a very famous record shop just off Vicarage Road in Moseley. And it became famous because it stayed open right through the 80s, 90s, noughties, selling vinyl. And it was one of those beautiful shops that just honoured vinyl. And I think it's now closed. But that's where I spent my pocket money, on Ride a White Swan with T-Rex. Absolutely fantastic. Love that song. And there will be an announcement about that song next week. Before the 18th of September. Put it that way. So keep your eyes peeled on toyahwillcox.com. So we're coming to the end of your questions. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the garden. I thought I'd do it differently this week, just so that you can see the space that we live in. Tim Barter saw me at Stow-on-the-Wold a while ago. Did you actually go to Fylingdales to be photographed in front of the golf balls for Sheep Farming in Barnet? Tim, yes. Because back then you didn't have Photoshop. So the record cover designer, Bill Smith, myself, my partner at the time, Jem Howard, we drove to Yorkshire. We had to kind of break into the site because it was an RAF site. It was the early warning system during the Cold War. And we positioned ourselves so my head was the fourth round shape, the fourth kind of golf ball. But we were approached and we were taken away off the land. We were being arrested because we'd kind of broken into, I think, what was MOD land. And I had to hide the film in my underwear. But we got it. We got that shot. And in it, my face is painted blue, but Tim also managed to have a portable blue light, which gives that surrealistic sheen that makes me look the same colour as the golf balls. So thank you very much for that question. So I want to say thank you to all of you for all of your questions. We are going to keep Toyah at Home going right through till I can perform live again. So please keep your questions coming in. And as announced, and as on toyahwillcoxofficial.com at the moment, the release dates for Sheep Farming in Barnet, December the 4th, the Sheep Farming Special, December the 5th on Toyah at Home, with the band and vintage material. So that's all coming up. up. There's going to be announcements now for the next 12 months, which is really exciting. And I'm over the moon to be able to tell you this. Just everything is coming together and paying off. I am so grateful to Cherry Red Records. I'm grateful to the band. I'm grateful to Nigel Clark, my husband, and I'm also really grateful to Demon Music, who are going to allow me to bring new music to you next year. So stay safe, everybody. We're going to go out with a performance from the Toyah band of Race Through Space at the Islington O2 in celebration of the announcement of Sheep Farming in Barnet being released in a deluxe edition on the 4th of December. Lots of love. Bye for now.
Do you fancy a bit of punk? Shall we go back to Sheep Farming in Barnet? This is Race Through Space. Please show me your place. We race through space like a dying race. Music shoots through my eyes, trapped in a chamber of hollow